Power, not comfort, is my demand on faith. That's a line from Ms. Helen Keller in a longer essay that I will be sure to include in the notes for this video. And it's a line I've been reflecting on a lot. It's been kind of making its way inside of me in a powerful and a profound way. It seems like it's time in our evolutionary history to consider the limits of comfort as a motivating principle to life. If I was only concerned with comfort, I wouldn't be sitting here in the woods right now, but perhaps curled up on a sofa somewhere with slippers and a comfortable duvet. Many of the pleasures that life holds for us live outside the bounds of comfort. We all know that to grow is to kind of push a little bit past our comfort zone. Otherwise, we don't really get to experience all that life has to offer. At this point, we have come up with a lot of ways to make ourselves comfortable, or at least a lot of ways, a lot of options that are motivated by a desire for comfort. Whether they actually make us comfortable is perhaps up for debate. The drive for money and material possessions includes just an array of possible delights, things you can order and have at your doorstep the very next day, foods and clothing and luxurious options for travel and adventure and entertainment and stimulation, pleasures that excite us in our bodies, our minds. We've come up with so many things. We're really quite a creative species. But at the same time, there's this deep disconnect right now between all of these delights, all of these pleasures that can be procured with a certain amount of financial resources. But then a lack of often the things we actually really need. Not to be comfortable, but to just exist, to be well. We don't always have someone to care for us when we're ill. We don't always have easy access to nourishing food. Many of us lack connection to loved ones, family, friends, others, to offer us nurturing and support, to collaborate with us on this work of life. We talk of a loneliness epidemic, and I believe it's very, very real. I think I suffer from a bit of it as I sit alone in the woods recording this video. This quote from Helen: "Power, not comfort, is my demand of faith." To me, it invites me, and I would suggest it invites all of us to consider that when we're motivated primarily by comfort, we are not harnessing, acknowledging, making room for the real power that we have been given in being given this life, this opportunity to live this mortal existence on this planet. That if we only want to be comforted, we will perhaps cling to stories, to routines and habits that keep our lives quite small, that make do with what has been given us thus far, and that don't acknowledge the possibilities of where we might go next. I think we've all hit the end of this illusion that material gain, that having all of the security and comforts and pleasures of this world can actually make us happy and fulfilled. At least I know I've hit the end of that illusion in myself. And I'm interested now in moving past, getting out, reaching out, speaking out, imagining new possibilities of how we might live upon this earth. And I'm ready to understand that my faith is not I'm ready to move into a deeper relationship to my faith, and to finally acknowledge that what my faith tells me is not that there is a God that is always keeping watch and keeping score, that will protect me, keep me safe. That God is not like Santa Claus or some paternal figure. But that if God is anywhere, God is inside me. My particular life. And of course inside the trees and the grass and the earth and the birds and the sunlight and all of my siblings upon this planet, human and otherwise. God is everywhere, and my most intimate relationship with God as a unique being upon this planet will and does occur inside me. God is not a protective figure outside keeping me safe, but God is a active, creative, powerful force inside of me. And the most faithful thing I can do in life is to be me, to respect that force inside and to listen to it, to give it my attention. To trust its power to move me and grow me and lead me and challenge me. I think it's time for us to grow up, friends, all of us. to bring our faith into a new level of reality. I think Helen knew that 100 years ago. And that's what inspired her beautiful life. And perhaps it's time that we are also inspired to live our own beautiful lives. Not to be the best, not to conquer the world, not to get lots of acclaim, not to dominate anyone or convince anyone, not to solve any of the big problems, but to just be who we are, to care for ourselves, to care for our inner environment, and when there is pain, to care for that pain, and when there is difficulty, to care for that difficulty, and when there is chaos, to find a way to be still in the midst of the chaos and to listen ever more deeply for that still small voice within, for the message that's truly ours, to stop trying to please other people or even compulsive parts of ourselves, but to find that balance point, that grounding point within where we can choose with freedom. And I just feel so hopeful about this, even as I sit here alone in the woods recording this video. I feel so hopeful about the possibilities and the potential of this. That if we could all do this, find ourselves and live freely, choosing freely how we will respond to this life we've been given. I feel so hopeful that we will become the cells of this body of the world. We will become healthy cells of this body. We will bring the necessary medicine to our little point of existence. Finding happiness and peace within. And then in 1,000 small ways, sharing that with others. And what's so beautiful about this design is wherever you are on the journey, wherever we are on the journey, whether we're alone in the woods with no friends to be seen, whether we are in the pit of despair, whether we are overwrought by guilt and fear and anger, wherever we are and whatever we have done, it all becomes compost fodder for the medicine we can create, the healing that we can bring. So we're never too far gone. The farther we go, the more interesting our medicine. So it's always the right time to listen, to discover our power within, to demand that the faith we live and carry and hold is for the purpose of exercising and living into that power. Every person that I know who is the littlest bit happy, I believe, has discovered a bit of that power and is learning to accept and choose. This is not some great mystery. But it's such a subtle knowing, and it's so much quieter than the demands that barrage us from outside. It's easy to miss. this simple truth. Clearly, it is easy to miss if we look at the history of our species on this planet. I see Jesus' life as this beautiful tale, this beautiful story of a human being experiencing this knowing and seeking to teach us that we can have this knowing too, welcoming us to eat with him and receive his body, his blood. Oh my goodness. He drew no barriers between himself and others. He told us that we would do even greater things than he. He prayed that we would experience and know our oneness. And then this big church and all of its permutations has tried to codify that love, define it, ritualize it, protect it. And there have been others, like Jesus, who've known, other movements that have spread that word, sprinkled it upon the species, but also perverted it. Our human will to be different and distinct, to be comfortable, is very strong. But power, not comfort, is my demand on faith. And may it be so for all of us, that we might discover our power and live it and see what might be possible.